my friends? Welcome to Edge Technologies here in St. Louis, Missouri. As you can see, there's snow everywhere today. Trucks going by, cleaning up. But we're going to take you on an exclusive factory tour that I know you're going to love. Barfeed, barfeed, barfeed. So without any further ado, let's head inside and talk with my friend Kevin. Well, we've made it inside, my friends, inside this beautiful facility here in St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm with my friend Kevin, just as I promised, where we're going to learn a little bit more about the history of Edge, or at least that's where we're going to start today on this factory tour. So, Kevin, thank you so much for being a part of MTD. We're really excited to be here, and let's talk about Edge and a little bit of the history, shall we?
First off, you're welcome, Tony, and welcome to St. Louis. We're great to have you here at Edge Technologies.
I do appreciate that, and I'm really excited to be here because I see your products everywhere I go, all these factory tours that we do. I mean, I see Edge products here, there. I mean, it's great support for our economy right now when we're thinking about automation and having a cost-effective support service for automation. But before we dive into that, which we're going to do, guys, when we get out to production and the manufacturing plant and inventory and all that fun stuff, let's talk about the history of Edge.
Edge Technologies, we started the company in 1986, so we're in our 38th year, and we've come a long way since then. Back in the day, magazine bar feeders were a little bit of an exotic accessory. You would see them on some screw machines, certainly sliding headstock machines as they began to hit their stride in that time period, and now they're much more mainstream part of manufacturing.
I would agree with that. And as I walk around shops, it almost is interesting not to see a bar feed now. And you're right, it was exotic at one time. And I came in my machining career running turning centers, and we didn't have any for the longest time. And then we had some basic ones. So the technology itself, talking with your team, is a really great way for a company to introduce themselves to the world of automation on a really cost-effective platform. And because you've been doing it so long, and you're here in the middle of the country, you really do a great job of supporting through service and education and everything that goes along with someone who's maybe just getting in or has been in for a while but is looking for new technology, everything in between because you've been doing it for so long.
We have, and we were fortunate enough going back to 1986 to be able to build a strong foundation of expertise and experience. We don't have anybody left working here from 1986, but we have quite a few working here from the early 90s still to this day in a technical capacity, and that has really helped us as magazine bar feeders have not only become more prevalent, but they've become more complex and more involved.
Complex and involved, and we're going to get in those details as well and a lot of other videos when we get into the technical abilities of what Edge is able to do. The overall concept really is just to make life simpler and run through the nights with a bar feed system, isn't it?
It really is, Tony. We like to call it easily deployable automation, and I think customers have really found that out, and they really have seen how they can stretch their labor dollars with magazine bar feeders.
I would agree with that. Now I'm going to head out to the production facility and we're going to talk a bit more about service, support, and everything else that goes into what you're doing here in St. Louis. But are there any messages you'd like to convey to the audience before I head out there with all your years of expertise here at Edge?
Well, Tony, one thing that we've really realized is this is a service business, and it's always been a philosophy of our company to support the customer really well, and to this day, half of our associates are technicians spread across the U.S. On a regional basis and on a national basis, and that support, along with our team, the other 40 people here in St. Louis, and all the other support functions like purchasing, customer service, order desk, inventory, engineering, really create the backbone and the team behind our company.
Kevin, you're amazing. Thank you so much for your time. For the audience watching, I'm going to take you out into the production plant now. So come on, let's go have a look. Well, we're we're now in production with my buddy Dan, the man, Mr. Dan Borders, who borders on extreme intelligence. Right, Dan?
That's not very true, but I appreciate you saying
Yes,
that.
you do. We can't lie to the camera. We never do that. But we are in production right now, and we do want to talk about the importance of service and support and how much inventory you guys have, the fact that you have a massive couple of buildings to support your customers,
Sure.
and some of the details that go into that. So let's talk a bit more about production, your capabilities,
Sure.
and the importance of service and support.
Yeah, definitely. So starting with the production, so we keep anywhere from 400 to 500 bar feeders in stock on this building and our off-site building just a couple miles away. Over 5 million is in parts, so that's collets, guide channel sets, bushing blocks, anything that you're going to need that's a consumable in your bar feeder, 5 million plus in stock that we can ship out to our customer typically on a daily basis.
That is absolutely incredible. You don't always hear that story because you guys mainly, majority-wise, focus on bar feed. So to have that much inventory, I can imagine your customers really like that, don't they?
Correct. And that kind of speaks to our main focus as a company. The parts and the inventory we have goes right into the service team. One kind of leads to the other. So we have over 40 direct employees that are service technicians with Edge Technologies, only focused on installing and keeping bar feeders running. Because we know at our core, we really are a service organization. Everyone has sales, everyone has engineering, but the service is really what seemed to be most impactful to our customers, because the most serious term we hear is down bar feeder. Because what I've noticed is there's no perfect machine out there, and we do have great capabilities and probably the most reliable bar feeders out there, but every once in a while there will be an issue. We want to be the first ones that can address it.
I honestly, from my position and being in a machine shop for a long time and programming and machining with a lot of turning centers, personally, I can say, yeah, my friend, there's something that is very stressful about a broken spindle, a broken anything
Sure.
where you know automation is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for the most part, and when it goes down, how much money are we
Right.
losing? That is incredibly important to convey to the audience.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I came out of a tool and die shop, so the production world is a little new to me, and it is very interesting, not only days, but hours and minutes that our customer is losing, how much it can mean to them. So we really pride ourselves in, if it's not that day, next day, or sometime that week, getting out as soon as we possibly can to get the customer back up and running.
Well, it's a great team that you have across the country to support. You guys actually dive into Mexico a little bit, I
Yeah,
believe, as
definitely.
well for support. Now, when I think about a bar feed, and we're on the topic of making sure that it's serviced and supported and making sure that everything is okay. When I think about a bar feed, there's a lot of projects out there that they'll spit out a product every second.
Right.
A second's an extreme measure,
Right,
but
yeah.
30 seconds to
Sure.
a minute to
Yeah.
a minute and a half. So as you mentioned, when something does go down, we are talking minutes and those
Right.
hours and how stressful that might be. Do you have any stories that you can think of where you guys went out of your way for a customer and that customer
Sure.
came back to you and was like, Dan, thank you so much. You saved me. I've never had that kind of experience before. Do you have any personal stories you can share with the audience?
Sure. So we've had one, we actually drove a technician overnight, about 6 hours, so they can meet them they were having problems with the synchronization between the bar feeder and the lathe. And the customer had a job, just like most customers do. You know, it needed to be done yesterday, right? So we actually drove a service technician overnight, 6 hours, and we're there at 7:30 in the morning, had that bar feeder running by lunch, making good parts by lunch that day, got a personalized handwritten note from the customer thanking Edge Technologies for how quickly we were able to respond. Now, we wouldn't necessarily love to do every one of them overnight. However, if we can, it's the most serious thing we take as a company. So, you know, we do what we need to.
And those are the stories we love to hear. All right, now I want to go back to what you mentioned about inventory. Over the last few years, there's been some real issues with, things getting across ponds or
Yeah.
the ability to even get product.
Yeah.
And so you guys have focused on making sure that when a product is ordered or when it needs to be serviced, you really are taking care of all of that, from including the inventory to the service. We've
Yeah.
covered service,
Right.
but let's talk about the importance of inventory and how you guys have accomplished that over the last year, 2 years.
Yeah, so across our line through F&B and Edge, we have give or take 15 different models. However, that breaks into, I think, 43 or 44 different configurations of bar feeder. So when we take an order, this is what our production team does. We fine-tune that bar feeder specifically to the machine tool that it's going on. interface, parts, guide channels, bushing blocks. We're shipping that out of Edge Technologies, ready to be installed on that lathe, which also helps reduce our installation time so we can get down to the road to another one as well. You know, we don't rush out of the install. However, having it show up ready-made for that lathe that it's supposed to go on helps us quite a bit.
Well, I hear some guys working in the background, so I'm going to maybe go check on them and see what they're tinkering on. But before we get there, you mentioned how many different models you have. Would you mind giving us a bird's eye view of the bar feed through Edge, what you guys offer, short beds, long beds, some of the technologies that are unique to Edge themselves that really set you guys apart in the bar feed world?
Right, and there are two kind of main different styles. So this one we're standing in front of here is an FMB. It's German-made, German-engineered, the heaviest duty bar feed on the market. This is the 38 millimeter version. You step up into the 55. What we found is when a bar gets above 2 inches in diameter, the oil that's used to float the bar in the guide channel really only provides lubricity. It doesn't really do a whole lot of supporting because of the weight of the bar. So the FMB is the only bar feeder manufactured in the world that has a gray cast iron frame. Weighs twice as much as any bar feeder on the market. Really helps reduce the vibration and dampens vibrations. So it might be rattling and you might be able to hear it, might be a little noisy in the shop, but it's not reflected in the machine tool on the tooling, which is really what you're looking for in a bar feed support. The other nice thing about the FMB is we offer them up to 24 foot long. And that's actually going into a really popular segment. It's growing quite a bit every year because, as you said earlier, some people are processing parts in a second, 30 second. Some people are doing 18, 24-inch long parts. Well, now they're chewing through bar pretty quick, right? So the more we can get you, the further we can automate that, extend the bar all the way up to 24 foot. It's really a powerful system that we offer now. And then we also have our Edge Technology brand. So that's 2 inches and below on diameter, and our short loaders or our spindle length loaders, which are an excellent product for frequent changeover or on a more conventional lathe, not necessarily a Swiss style lathe, where you're looking to run spindle length bars. And what I like to do is do a spindle extension and a coolant collector on those, so we can typically get about a 3 to 4 foot bar on the short loaders, which is a really powerful advantage. Even if you're not looking to fully automate and run them all the time, if you got that one long job run, it's really nice to add onto your machine tool.
You know, Dan, normally I come out with some sort of special closing to reiterate what you have just said, but guys, I told you Dan borders on supreme intelligence, right? That's that genius coming out. You're so right when it comes to the importance of having a heavy base and the rigidity that goes into it and the German technology involved. Thank you for expressing this technology with the audience. Sure. Now, guys, I'm going to take you, and we're going to go see what the guys are tinkering on over there. So why don't you come with me and take a look? Well, we made it to the manufacturing side of Edge Technologies, and you know this handsome young man, my buddy Rick. We're going to talk about the benefits of having your own manufacturing facility for those times where maybe you can support a customer immediately instead of with a long lead time, and I think we have a great example of that. Rick, we're in the manufacturing facility. Let's talk about some of those benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tony. So this particular part here is actually considered a lathe adaptation component, and this component needs to be different for every manufacturer OEM. And so we control that process in-house by machining it here, which gives us the ability, if a manufacturer makes change between models, maybe bolt patterns, diameters, something different, we can correct that part quickly, sometimes overnight, and get it to the customer next day.
Well, we all know what assuming does. It even says it in the word, but I'm going to assume that if we didn't have that capability here, lead times are going to be a lot longer when making sure that your customers are taken care of.
Absolutely. Again, you know, to go to a third-party company right now and have that made could be 3-4 weeks. I think we all know that that could be a problem. So controlling the process really helps us from milling, lathe work, grinding, wire EDMing. We have all the capabilities right here. Wow. From all of that, from machining to grinding to wire EDM. I know we're getting ready to take a look at the grinding department as well because we have some cool collets and things we want to show in there. Are there any other attributes that you'd like to convey with the audience to kind of that sets you guys apart, having a machine shop here at Edge where you go, look guys, we can help support you, we can get things out quicker. There's a lot of little gadgets and gizmos that go into all of the components in manufacturing, and you go, you know what, let's just do it here, let's knock it out instead of having a third party. Yeah, it's a great question. We actually have the ability to offer a lot of engineered solutions Maybe it's an extended rack. Maybe it's a bar lift system. Maybe a customer wants special paint. We actually have a paint facility right behind the door here. So we can actually special paint, manufacture racks, and do maybe some items or custom features that the competitors can't do. So
I think that's important to convey, and as everyone knows who watches this, these are authentic conversations, but I'm really glad I asked that question to you, Rick, because it is important to understand that there are adaptations a customer might want. There are components internally, externally that you guys can go, all right, this is gonna be a special for you, and we can knock that out for you in a little amount of time instead of having months and months of lead time.
right. And sometimes we just get in a situation where maybe it's a first time for an OEM and they say, hey, we thought of this idea, we don't know how to implement it, but maybe you guys could help us, and we certainly reach out on those situations as well.
You know, Rick, I got a funny idea that if we were to just keep talking, new concepts would keep popping up the audience and go, I needed to know that and that and that. But before we get any further into manufacturing, let's go take a look at the grind shop, shall we?
Absolutely.
All right, Buddy Rowe, we've made it into the grinding room. So let's talk about the significances of how grinding supports the edge.
Absolutely. So this is a bar stock collet. Every bar stock used in a bar feeder and lathe needs a collet to hold it, and they only have maybe 5 to 8 thousandths total tolerance on them. It's not uncommon that a customer may need to have a collet, a very unique size collet. So for instance, I just happened to pick up a half-inch collet, and the request might be the customer needs a 13 millimeter collet. So it's just slightly bigger, but yet we don't have that in stock. We would bring that down here to the grind shop and we can resize this from 12.7 to 13 millimeters, really just in a couple of hours. And it also gives us a chance to change the OD as well. So we can do an ID or an OD grind to fulfill a customer's need on a correct collet size.
You know, Rick, I'm starting to see a common theme here. Starting with Kevin in the beginning, he emphasized how important the customers are and the partnerships are. Then sliding over to Dan, we immediately went into service and support and being able to take care of them. As soon as I speak with you in the manufacturing facility, it's again about support and reducing lead times. Now we're in grinding, talking about the same topic. And next, we're headed over to inventory to speak about how much inventory you have to support customers as well. This is a reoccurring thing here at Edge Technologies, isn't it?
It's our operation. It's how we make a living. It's what gets us by. So.
And we all need those customers. So with that being said, should we head on over to inventory?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, Rick, well, we made it into inventory, which is the final stop on this factory tour. Why did we decide to finish here?
Well, it's the most important part for our customers. This is where the $5 million of spare parts in inventory exist, with all kinds of perishable components, hood shocks, bar stock collets, channel sets, all the perishable parts of the bar feeder that we house and need for customers, for installations, for companies that move their equipment from place to place. There's just everything from anchor bolts to wires to collets is where we're at.
$5 million worth of inventory, and that's what we're pulling out right here.
So these are standard bar stock collets sized in incremental sizes of a few thousandths, for anything from 40 thousandths diameter all the way up to 4 inch. So a lot of bar stock collets.
Kevin, you know, this is our final stop on the factory tour for the audience that's watching right now. And we mentioned this previously, but I think it's important to reiterate and kind of close this out in summary. In summary, we're saying customers matter. I mean, from the start of this entire tour with Kevin all the way through to where we are now, we have reiterated the importance of taking care of the customer here at Edge Technologies.
We've really always tried to build a relationship with our customer, actually more of a partnership, because we recognize when we have that customer as a partner, it works for both of us. We can help them and they can help us, and that really is the long, true business model the company's been founded on.
And you have been around for decades, and it's obvious in your growth, in your expansion, and in your support. You're here for a long time as well by making sure that those customers are taken care of.
We plan on to do this for decades more.
So thank you all for watching. This is Edge Technologies. When we think about all the different components that go into a machine shop, possibly and certainly discussionably, service and support is the most important, because what do we have if we don't have each other, right, Rick?
That's correct.
Thank you so much for this tour and allowing us to come through.
You're welcome. Thanks, Tony.
And thank you all for watching. We'll see you again very soon. This is Edge Technologies in St. Louis, Missouri.